to the most political movie of this week, and that is Terrifier 3, the movie that burst into the box office. He's considered a studio plant, but in reality, this is the most independent horror franchise that we've seen in a minute. Art 1, Terrifier 1, I remember where that barely got played in theaters, but it got returned because so many people were watching it on VOD. It set up Terrifier 2 to come in the top 10. And Terrifier 3, which has been in the works since like last year, I collected the Terrifier 3 Santa poster. This man made such a great deal with AMC that opening night, our theaters were packed. I was sitting in the same row as a guy dressed up as Art, so I moved a row to the front, of course, because he brought his bag with him, and I was not going to play with that. You said you saw 2. I don't believe you've seen 1. There's also short films that he comes from. I got to see Terrifier 3 in theaters. It was really hyped up for that ending, the beginning, actually, where people were walking out. When I walked out, a guy next to me called up his friend. He said, "Bro, I just saw the craziest thing in the world." People are loving this movie.
Yeah.
What did you think of Terrifier 2?
Well, you say I watched it. I put it on and occasionally glanced at the screen because this
took
is
off your glasses so you couldn't even see. Come on, bro.
This is not my style of horror, and we'll get more into that when we talk about Smile 2. But like, these are the types of horror films that kind of like pushed me away from the genre when I was younger, because they are aggressive, punishing, disturbing movies, and intentionally so. Like, I think it's one thing to say that they're like artless or bad or whatever because you don't have a taste for it, but like, I think they are very successfully pushing buttons, and the whole story of the organic growth of this franchise is not only a fascinating one, but I think like an inspiring one when it comes to movies. Amen. Right? Like we're always, there's so many people who complain about like what the studios produce and the lack of options that we get, and here is something that's sort of been supply and demand. Like the people clearly are responding to Art the Clown. I'm not one of those people particularly, but I'm happy for all of them.
For all those who celebrate.
Yeah, for all those who celebrate Art the Clown. You mentioned earlier in our podcast In a Violent Nature, which has one of the grisliest deaths I've seen in a horror movie ever. Yeah. Granted, it is not wall-to-wall gore, but that one in particular is pretty bad. How would you compare for a Terrifier novice like myself that one scene to Terrifier 3?
It's like that every 20 minutes, I guess. But the thing is that the production design and the way they were able to do that one in A Violent Nature, I think still tops it, mainly because of its setting, mainly because it's like the big one that you're leading up to. Terrifier 3 is going for a lot of hits, so it wants to like surprise you every 20 minutes. And what it does is very gruesome. I still prefer the one that was in A Violent Nature, because what you're really dealing with over here with all of the Terrifier franchise is this clash between the story of a girl who's going through PTSD and trying to remember her father and losing him, and then a mime / clown who's doing Charlie Chaplin stuff, but it's not him hurting himself, it's him mutilating people. And I think that's where, for me, the clash is. Like, I know people love the main character, the girl and her brother and all the stuff that they're doing, but like that needs to be put to the side, because a big part for me is like, yo, if we're just doing like Three Stooges, but instead of them bumping into each other, it's chopping up a person in half, filleting them, all these different things. Sure, go for it. It's supposed to be this like very Buster Keaton like violent figure. I'm all ears for that. How much crazier can you get with the mutilations? He's laughing. He's having a great time with it. And then we pause to come see her in PTSD, and she's like very sad. I'm like, I feel like the two clash with each other. I see it hasn't been a problem for most of the fans, but to me, that's where I'm going like, okay, you're calling it not torture porn because it's him having a grand old time. But then you do stop the movie for her brother and for her, because it's been 3 movies that they've been trying to get over it, and we're going for a 4th movie where they're trying to get over it. To me, that is the weakest part. I actually have no problem if they went balls to the wall with Art.
Right. It sounds a little contradictory to have your film be about like the fun of excessive violence, and then also have
Wanting her
half
to
of
get
it be
better.
about like the traumatic impacts of this kind of
Yeah.
violence.
And look, I know they're trying to be like a Halloween, right? Halloween has always been that.
Yeah.
You're going in to see Michael Myers slash people, and then at the same time, we're always with Laurie Strode. Oh my goodness, how is she going to overcome this? What are the different things you can do on her? That's it done the best. Here, I don't think the performances are strong enough to uphold it, and I think she's a great lead. She's a good scream queen. Um, I think Art, the goofier that he gets, the more uh, the funnier it is, I guess. I've never seen him as a terrifying figure. I've seen him as an obnoxious figure. Like that's all he is. He's trying to get a laugh to nobody but himself in all of these scenes. But I think Terrifier 3 definitely levels up what the other two were doing. Um, there is literally a torture porn scene. I don't know how else to put it other than when you see it, you go, no, that is literally torture porn. The scene at the beginning is one of those that leaves it to your mind. Like,
Mhm.
what did he do to this family, specifically the kids? Whenever he hurts younger people, it's usually off screen because even the filmmaker said that he's got boundaries to it. But he said he was inspired by a rat scene from the original book of American Psycho. And when you see it in the movie, it's pretty messed up. If you're a person who, when you see things up on the screen, you have to yell, "You're not scary." Yeah, these are not for you. But if you're a person who likes to see the practical effects of stuff, like I worked with a lot of people in school, that's what they were going for: the blood, the guts, all the
Right.
practicality of how they can make it. I mean, I don't see any of this as real. If I see them on the street, I'm going the other way. But in the movie, like I'm just in awe of like all of the CGI Blumhouse horror that we get, and now it's AI horror. Terrifier does bring a different element to it. While I don't think it's the strongest story, I'm always interested to see how are they going to up themselves in terms of these effects, stunts, and all the stuff that they do. And they're going to keep the train going with Terrifier 4. So
How would you rank the three? 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 1. Feels like 2 is most people's favorite.
I
Are they
guess
indistinguishable to you?
kind of. I think obviously the best kills have been in 3. I think the best story is in 2, and is actually has the only scary moments because of the little girl.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess I'll put 2 at the top, and then 3 and 1 kind of tied because I think the story in 1 is better than the story in 3, but the kills are better in 3. I
Cool.
I want him to get I want him to have a big movie, bro. I want him to have that one that doesn't just feel like it's for the Terrifier fans, because there are Halloween movies that expanded outside of the slasher people. There
Right.
are, I would say, even Saw movies. I think they need one that'll smack. They can come later. They're already not doing what normal franchises do in self financing and everything. But I hope the best for them. For my Tokayo art, hey, you'll get one. But number 1 at the box office, that's not bad. Who cares what I rated it? The fans came out super happy.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, probably feels like the best thing to go see in a theater if you're looking for like a Halloween scary movie right now.
Oh, perfect.
It
Yeah,
will deliver.
easily.